Mame fa na se ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Ashafanya tifo me mo bibiara kwa ba eba PENDREAM TV. Kwesi Pratt Junior de nsembe tudwa wa kyerɛ ema NPP ni bia enna endwen sɛ NPP party no beba power beam na Canada Agyapong Bawumia anase nana adodankwa akofo adokrampo no omumu bia ni ho a obetumi ama party na ba power beam na krono ene kwan bone omode oman no efa so for the past 8 years no obi ani ho kra obeto aba ede amomo ensema hudu bi ka we hu na Kwesi Pratt Junior ede tudwa kame ho na enkotie ne nsem no enkyiri mu yede ye ba yede ne aka ebeto aso subscribe na share jumadi no ma afoforo ensa enkabi ya dwenkyere e wo comment section ho yenti ensem Kwesi Pratt Junior ede atudwa.
Mr. Pratt?
Well, I think, look, it doesn't take a lot to realize that the new patriotic party is in severe turmoil and that it's about to implode. And I'm looking around and seeing whether there are elements and factors who can prevent that implosion. And I haven't seen one yet. You see, if you look at the new patriotic party today, there are so many trends in the party today. Trends which it appears that these trends would never have a converging point. And that is the worry. That must be the worry for those who sacrifice so much in order to establish this party. And I mentioned in particular Mr. Victor Owusu Jr. of Kumasi. And today when you talk about the new patriotic party, they tell you that it was established by Darocha and so on and so on. It's not true. There were two young men in Kumasi who became the pivots for the re-establishment of the Dankwa Buzia tradition. It was they who formed the Dankwa Buzia crops. And indeed, the first one was inaugurated on the KO Methodist Park by Reverend Asante. All the so-called big men were not there, and they didn't take part in it. These were young men, Victor Wusu and others, and one more, I've forgotten his name. You understand? Now, they must be feeling very, very sad today, given what is happening in the party today. You see, in the party today, it's a trend. And that trend, the public face of that trend, is Sarah Adwa-Safo. That's the public face of that trend. And that trend simply says that no matter what happens, we are bringing back Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as flag bearer of the party for the 2028 elections. And that we are ready to fight in order to make sure that that happens. That's the trend. And appears to be a strong trend in the party. Then you have another trend in the party which says very clearly that, look, the candidature of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was a total failure, and that we are not going anywhere if we bring back Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And that the way forward for this party lies in bringing a radical and popular figure, and they settled on Kennedy Agyapong as that radical and popular figure who can bring this party back to power. And that trend is there. It appears also to be a strong trend within the party. Then there's another trend in the party which is not focused on personalities. And that trend is ably represented by people like Boachie Jakum, Atakwabna Kennedy, and others, who feel that a party it's a body of values, core values. And then the New Patriotic Party got to this stage because it abandoned its core values. So this group of people said that, look, we can rebuild the New Patriotic Party only if we return to the core values. Now, it's interesting to identify people who are in this trend. You know, these are largely intellectuals. These are largely people who are driven by ideological considerations. These are people who have been in the trenches from 1992 till today. Young, well, now not too young, but young then, who sincerely believe that the New Patriotic Party can be built around core issues and so on. Then there's another group within the party which is also not weak. I mean, its strength can match all the different trends quite well. Who says that, look, we have wrecked the party. We have destroyed the party. The party has a horrible image. And that we cannot go into another election successfully if we go with the New Patriotic Party. So therefore, it is important to establish a new political party, to abandon the New Patriotic Party, and to build a new political force which can give the people of Ghana hope. We can provide a leadership that the New Patriotic Party failed to provide. Now, who are these people who are pushing this agenda? Of course, the one that everybody knows now is Dr. Amwakuba, a lecturer at the University of Science and Technology. But there are many others. I mean, Solomon Wusu sitting here believes in that, you understand? And there are many others who believe in this trend. Now let us abandon this New Patriotic Party. It is defective, it is destroyed, the engine is gone, and that we need to build a new machine in order to be able to capture the imagination of the voters and to make any impact in Ghanaian elections and so on. That trend is there. Then there's another trend which says that, look, to build a party or to rebuild a party, we need to have massive resources to be able to play any role, to be able to come back. We need a lot of resources. And therefore, let's look at those who appear to have the resources to become the center for mobilizing, you know, for going forward and so on. Now, interestingly, those are the people who say that, look, you cannot abandon Nana Akufo-Addo and his team, because they are the people who control resources. Now, it's even gone to the extent that some people in the party are now saying that, look, if we have to win any future elections, we have to campaign on the legacy of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. And that without the legacy of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, we are not going anywhere at all. So Nana Akufo-Addo becomes the center of mobilization and organization for going forward. You see that the trends are many. Then there's another trend which simply says that, look, the party is in the state in which it is today, largely because of the negative legacy of Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. That Nana Addo Akufo-Addo did not just mess up the party, he messed up the country. And to that extent, if we have to move forward, we have to jettison Nana Akufo-Addo and everything he stands for in order to be able to move forward. I've already mentioned about 7 or 8 trends, different trends, not converging at any point. You know, and there are more. But let me limit myself to these 8 trends. Now, given this state of affairs, this party requires extraordinary leadership to be able to congeal again and to move forward. Where is that leadership? That's the problem. Where is that leadership which will be able to pull all these different forces, all these different trends together in order to build something which is wholesome or appears to be wholesome in order to move forward? And Sana, I've been looking and looking and looking, and I can't find. And I would be pleased if there's anybody who can point to a leadership who can unite all these different trends, you know, and move this party forward. There's something that I've been trying to understand. I've tried so much, I can't understand it. This party set up a committee headed by Professor Mike Okwe to talk to party foot soldiers, to talk to activists, to try and find out what went wrong. Why the party performed so badly, so very badly. There must be reasons. So the Professor Okwe committee was established to find out what went wrong. The committee says that it has finished its work. Indeed, it has written a report. The party says that those who gave the reasons for why we are here are not entitled to see the report. My goodness, what is this? The report is a secret.
Yeah.
It's not a secret from NDC or so on. It's not something that should be hidden from NDC and CPP and GCPP and so on. The very members whose views were collated into a report cannot see the report. What is this? Maybe you guys can understand it. I've been struggling to understand it. I can't. So the report is prepared. It is submitted to some selected people in the party. They say leadership or whatever it is. And then they say, we are the only people who can see the report. You, constituency chairman, so you can't see the report. How can you implement this report if it is secret? But that is the position they are taking. You understand? Now there's something interesting. Some of them have actually, some of the leaders have actually said that, oh, you remember the Kwesi report? It was not made public. So we are following the Kwesi example. How can you beat the National Democratic Congress when at every stage you want to copy them? It's incredible. This is a party which actually wants to beat the National Democratic Congress. But at every stage, if you listen to them, say, what? The NDC did this 3 years ago. The NDC did this 5 years ago. The NDC did this 10 years ago. And that is what we must copy. Copy? I can't believe it. And indeed, my brother here, Protocol, said the same things here. You remember? I'm saying that the MPP leadership, they have to copy President Mahama. He said it. That they have to copy President Mahama. So you think copy will bring you to power? Okay, God bless you. Unbelievable. Now you know what is happening? They have decided to keep this report secret. But every day you go to social media, there is something claiming to be part of the report. Now how are we to know whether what is on social media is a report or is not a report? The only way we can know whether what is on the social media is the report or not the report is to publish the report. You understand? Now what is so damning in the report that you want to hide it from the rest of us? You are telling us that you did some things which are so bad that if we get to know, we'll never trust you again. That's what you are telling us. This morning, I saw something on social media. I laughed. I'm hoping that it is not true. I'm sure all of you have seen it. The part we said that womanizing.
Yes. That's a basic stage.
And we allow this to stay. Publish the real report so that we know that it's not womanizing. Put that to your defeat. They say, hey, these party leaders, they didn't select at all. They didn't care whether the women were married or not. You have seen that thing on social media. It may not be true. But how do we tell the truth from falsehood? In any case, me, I'm even surprised.
What sort of mischief is this?
The mischief is coming from Kwesi, Pratt.
It's persistent.
It's persistent.
Persistent.
Perhaps you are guilty of saying that's why you are smiling. If you remember your experience.
Report that we are giving you pages, copious provisions in the report. You say no.
Why did you let Uncle Kwesi talk to you? But Uncle Kwesi, there's even one worse one. They say one particular person who complained about where money was going, his testicles were grabbed. The direction of the testicles were changed.
Carry that thing.
My other problem is simply this. I mean, if the MPP needed to set up a committee headed by a professor to find out why it lost the elections, then there's something wrong with that party. Because everybody knew. We were told that we were losing the elections. Global Info Analytics every week was telling you that we were losing the elections. This is why we are losing the elections. Then we went and got some God-forsaken professor from Kumasi to go and do a counter survey who showed that Bawumia was way ahead. And we were happy. And that professor, you know, I met him somewhere. He's a friend of mine. I met him.
Where Professor Sapon?
Please, I deliberately didn't mention the name.
For purposes of discussion, so that...
If you want to mention a name, go ahead and mention it. But I deliberately didn't mention the name.
I see.
He's my very good friend. So before, the day before the results, he put out the results. I met him and I said, be careful. Because if you go and skew a report and come and put it there, your professorship will be dented forever. Your image will be dented forever. He didn't listen, he went and did it. Concocted some survey. Came and put it out. You people in the MPP, you knew that that report was concocted, and yet that is what we were throwing everywhere. And so, why won't you lose the elections? You see, everything about this election was known. In this country, every scientific survey will tell you that for electioneering purposes, the towering figure in Ghana up to today is Kwame Nkrumah. Because I knew the NDC did a survey, I think in the 2008 elections, to see what the important pillars were for elections. And in 2008, Nkrumah still stood heads and shoulders above every phenomena, every human being, anything in this country. You understand? You are going into an election and your target of attack is Nkrumah. The man is not even here. He's not in the elections. He died on April 27, 1972. That you are throwing bombs at Nkrumah and so on, and you want to win an election? You should go and ask President John Agyapong Kufuor. For President John Agyapong Kufuor to win elections, do you know what he did? They actually erected billboards of him and Nkrumah. You remember? Billboards of him and Nkrumah smiling together. And he insisted that he was going to work with the CPP if he came to power and so on. It galvanized his campaign and so on. Now, even Nana Akufo-Addo's campaign benefited from the fact that at one stage he was a member of the Convention People's Party. So people saw him as one of their own, and so you decided to jettison that. You decided to say all manner of derogatory things about Nkrumah and so on. And you expected to win an election. Unbelievable. The other thing which for me was striking, anytime the NDC made a promise, you went and repeated the promise. NDC said, we abolish e-levy. Bawumia can say, when I also win, I will abolish e-levy. Who introduced e-levy in the first place? You introduced e-levy. Because Muhammad says that you abolish e-levy, you are not even standing your ground and justifying e-levy. You say you will also follow Muhammad and abolish e-levy. So who will believe you? NDC and Muhammad from the very beginning were opposed to e-levy. They have been consistently opposed to e-levy. You introduced it. So between you and Muhammad, who do you expect the Ghanaian people to believe will abolish e-levy if they hand over power to you? This is the campaign you launched. John Muhammad comes and says, well, if I win, I won't govern this country with more than 60 ministers. Then quickly you come and say, as for me, I will govern with 50 ministers. You expect people to believe you? Do you expect people to believe you? So it was a horrible campaign which was not. And then one regional chairman, as for him, oh Jesus the Christ, he really did you in. Holds a press conference and says that you don't know. You see, when Kwame Nkrumah was overthrown in Ghana, the people of Guinea took him as their co-president. Nana Akufo-Addo has done better than Kwame Nkrumah. So, it is possible that in the near future, the people of Britain or even the US will come and take Nana Akufo-Addo as their president. This is your campaign message. Are you mad? You expect people to vote for you when you talk like this. Another regional chairman or the same regional chairman, I'm not sure, told us that what if he elect Bawumia in the first 4 years, in his first term, Ghana will go to space. We will build spacecrafts and we'll explore the moon and explore Saturn and so on. How could you have won an election with these kinds of promises? Do you need to set up an Okwe committee to find out why you lost the elections? Unbelievable. And then the jives at some ethnic groups and so on. And we wanted to win the elections. It was not possible. This is the most humiliating defeat that the New Patriotic Party has suffered, perhaps since 1979. The most humiliating defeat. And it is important for you guys to recognize that. Since 1979, this is the most humiliating defeat. You have suffered many defeats. But as for this defeat, what? Nothing comes close. You know, and then last week I was reading the newspapers and I saw one of them from Parliament saying that, oh, he expected the Muhammad administration to fail. But not so soon. It has failed too early. And that this is the surest indication that the NPP is coming back to power in 2008. Master, if this party is to be reorganized, stop the daydreaming. Wake up to reality and stop the daydreaming. Who today, under these circumstances, is going to take power or give their power to the New Patriotic Party? I mean, all you have to do is to play Sarah Dua Safu over and over again. And it's clear. And you see, for me it is interesting that that lady has become the center of attraction in the New Patriotic Party. This is a lady who actually believes that her father is able to fly in the night without aircraft. Magically fly in the night from here to any part of the world if you mention the father's name. How do you call it in English? She believes that. She says that.
That's metaphysics. Transports himself.
They call it something, transpodent or something, I've forgotten. She believes that. She's the center of attraction, center of organization.
He's the center of the party. He's the party.
A negation, complete negation of science.
The party.
Complete negation of science. But anyway, who am I? I mean, strictly speaking, who am I? So believe what you want to believe. There's another guy, strong member of the party, and in the thick of the elections, on a Kumasi TV station. This guy actually said that, look, we know that you people in Kumasi, you won't vote for us. He said it. That we know that you will not vote for us. But we don't care. Because we have dwarfs who will change your vote. Whatever you put in the ballot box, our dwarfs will come and change the votes. And we will win. Can you imagine? I think it was the same guy who said that if Muhammad wins the election, he will change his nationality. He's still there. He's still in Kumasi, carrying a Ghanaian passport. So we are going into an election, a crucial election like this one, and you tell us that you can vote wherever you want to vote. We don't care. You can vote for NDC. We don't care. We have dwarfs who will go into the ballot box and change the results. And you believe this stupidity. I mean, incredible things were said. Really incredible things were said. And you allowed it. And then they came up with this idea that indeed the whole election was a dancing competition. You remember? They thought that the whole 2024 election was just a dancing competition. Now, if you think that the election is a dancing competition, go and get good dancers. Then they taught their flag bearer a few missteps. So everywhere they started playing Sisifia, and he was shaking his waist to it. How do you win elections this way? Dancing to Sisifia. And then now you set up microphone commission to find out why you lost the election. Go and dance Sisifia. I mean, incredible. Ghana is a serious country. You see? And I think that the Ghanaian electorate ought to be taken seriously. Any political party that does not take the Ghanaian electorate seriously is doomed to fail, to be defeated so massively. So I think that the starting point is that the new patriotic party must begin to take the Ghanaian electorate seriously. Please consider the Ghanaian electorate as a body of people who think, as a body of people who can tell their conditions today as against their conditions tomorrow. In a matter of 4 years, the price of Kenke had jumped, boom, from 50 pesos to 5 cedis. And you didn't think it was an important thing? You didn't think that it was an important thing? Well, look, we are in an era of multi-party, bourgeois multi-party. For bourgeois multi-party rule to make any sense, to make any impact on the lives of our citizens, you need to have strong contending political parties. And that is the reason why people like me want to wish the New Patriotic Party well. I really want to wish the New Patriotic Party well. But it is not our wishes which will transform that party. You understand? It is not our wishes. The party itself has a responsibility to respect its core values. The party itself has a responsibility to put knowledgeable and responsible people into positions of leadership. The party itself has a responsibility to itself to understand the Ghanaian condition. If we don't do that, well, it is possible that some other party can spring up and offer the NDC the challenge it needs. If you don't do that, it is possible that your party can go into extinction. If you don't do that, so many possibilities await you in the near future. I wish the New Patriotic Party well.
And thank you very much for simplifying the entire matter. Yeah.
Honorable Timothy, this is astral travel. Astral.
I'll show something else.
No, I think there's a one word that describes exactly what he was talking
Transpose. Is it transpose?
about. I think that there's a word.
There's one small point that I forgot that Uncle Kwesi too forgot. You had a regional chairman who sits on television and takes gold bars out of his bag, puts it on, and then asks the presenter, should I bring more? Should I bring more? Like Uncle Kwesi, remember in the times past there was a magician who used to come on TV called Professor Diago. He had a dwarf and his wife called Nanama. And he say, when I say more, you say more. When I say more, you say more. When I say Ozi, you say Ozi Oza. When I say Ori, you say Ori Changer. And that is what you were doing. Ori Changer, Amiri Changer, Ozi Oza, and he was bringing gold bars upon gold bars. Were you happy when you saw the gold bars? Have you seen a gold bar in your life before? Have you seen some before?
I don't want to comment.
So now that the chaos has come, why isn't Wontumi sitting here? So that Uncle Kwesi can give him some choice English that he may not understand. Why are you sitting here? Have you seen gold before? So you people should exercise humility. But in the interest of, I don't want NDC to become a one-party government, because that inherent with it. So no, I'm making your point that inherent with a one-party state is the dangers therein. We may just end up becoming like you. We'll forget ourselves. This country needs good governance, but even more importantly than good governance, it needs good opposition. People who can call out government to do the right thing. It is imperative that it happens. But when you have party chairmen who go and commit crimes in our forest and come up and show you the products and the proceeds thereof on television stations and shows you gold bars, do you think the people of Kumasi who can't get water to drink, who don't have good roads, they are happy to see the gold bars?
Thank you very much. And of course, we'll be talking about that because before LI 2462 was passed, something significant happened. That was the reports of the chairman of the MPP in the Ashanti region, a company he owns, actually entering a forest. And there was much discussion about the illegality of that move. Then that was followed by LI 2462 that allowed anybody who wanted to enter into the forest. But Kwesi, the word, I think the word is, because this Kobina, the word is teleport. I think the word is teleportation. Yes, that's the word. Thank you. Thank you very much for saying that. There's a Kwesi Akwa who says, tell Uncle Kwesi that where we are, Ghana first. We need to develop Ghana, especially the roots. Then there's let me see a few more comments here. Aaron Bebe back again. I like Senior Kwesi Pratt submissions, talking sense into MPP. They were too power drunk, so they talked anyhow to Ghanaians, thinking that Ghanaians were thinking. we're not thinking. They should forget about coming into power today or tomorrow. Some more comments. Says, greetings, Senna. Greetings, my adorable social commentator of Kwesi Pratt and the rest of the guests. Senna, it will take the mercies of God for MPP to see power after 30 years, because MPP can be serious that they failed this country. And at a certain time, you think Ghana has been sold to voodoo or juju because nothing was working. And now God has given us a savior who's John Mahama to reset the entire country. Still, MPP is trying to be diabolic. I'm solidly behind John Mahama to succeed. Richard, send that. Richard, thank you very much for sharing that. A few more comments. This from Answama Dojo. My name is Vincent Odro, aka Proverbs 29:2. Arrogance caused the MPP government into opposition. They disrespected Ghanaians. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. A lot more comments coming, actually repeating the same word that we're looking for. Musa Batwa said, in Asawase says, Senna, frankly, we don't need the MPP to release any official report on their humiliating defeat. The reasons for their downfall are already well documented in the daily experiences of ordinary Ghanaians. Their unchecked arrogance, deeply entrenched corruption, and unapologetic nepotism were on full display throughout their time in power. So no amount of internal review or public relations spin can erase the reality that the MPP lost because they failed. Thank you. Then there's this one that thanks for the opportunity. In fact, Ghanaians are too soft for MPP. MPP should be declared a criminal organization and be banned. These are the people who will never speak the truth, but they think that they are always the best kind of human beings. Nana should be prosecuted and jailed to serve as a deterrent to all corrupt presidents in Africa. Please, Ghana must lead this campaign, Mr. President Mahama. Michael Chukudo sent that from Ho in the Volta region. Sule Nyangpala says, so the MPP knows what caused their defeat. They are pretending Nanado was the cause, and they are afraid to tell him in his face. Clearly, it wasn't only Nanado. Even the way the campaign was run, as described vividly by Mr. Pratt, alone was problematic. Well, in the meantime, they said they've set up a committee. The committee will look at the report and see what changes can be made. Learning from the report. That's what was.
Even the choice of Professor Okwe to lead that commission in and of itself was wrong, because Professor Okwe was one of the bullet points of the maladministration within the MPP. He was a Kufuor's leading Pied Piper. Right? In our case, we selected the late Professor Kwesi Botwe, God rest his soul, because he was seen as somebody who was basically above board in many of the things that happened during our time. Professor Okwe was a Kufuor's leading implementer. If you remove the current Chief Justice.
I'll come up because we'll start with you on the second issue of Galamsey. But before that, let me acknowledge that we are live on Kiss FM 89.7 in Takrady, Shine FM in Akachi on 96.1, Hills FM in Adaklu 91.7, Newasi Radio Ketekrachi is on 89.7, Tela Radio Dabala 97.1, Diamond FM in Tamale on 93.7, Bewa Radio Yendi 106.5, Radio Kitao in Saboba on 95.7, Benya FM Elmina on 105.7, Global FM 105.1 in Ho, Zebs FM 95.9 in Zebila, True FM 92.5 in Adeso, Lamara FM 89.1 in Tripoli, Boem 88.7 FM in Jessica, Lukusi 96.1 in Virgo Lukwati, Time FM 90.9, Sekwele 104.3, Akwini Radio in Pando, Denyuba Radio on 90.9 FM, then OT Radio in Dambai. Mr. Chumbafo, on the Galamsey matter.
Senator, good morning once again. Galamsey and the evil that it causes to our environment is something that I'm very passionate about. And even though I wish that it would have disappeared immediately President Mahama came to power, I also recognize that it will take time. The people who are the criminals are going to push back. They will push back in all forms, because gold is the source of all evil in this world. And unfortunately, Ghana being endowed with so much of it in and of itself presents what people have termed the Dutch disease. That is the very, very, very minerals that God has endowed you with ends up becoming a curse because of exploitation, over-exploitation. I mean, people are killing our environment, killing flora, killing fauna, diverting rivers, killing aquatic life, and unbalancing nature simply to get those gold bars and take it out of the country to sell. And what we are doing is destroying our country. Because one fine day, there will be nothing left. We are diverting the course, the natural courses of rivers to wash sand so that they can get the ore to go and smelter to get the gold bars. Like I have said, and I don't want anybody to adopt my methods, but if I had my choice, I would have adopted a shoot to kill policy, because those people are also well armed. You saw what they did to the river guard the other day. You see what they've been doing to policemen, soldiers. You saw what happened to Major Mahama. Because they will protect that industry to the death. And I do not see why we cannot apply same to them. But of course, that is my view. That is not the view of my political party. That is not the view of the president of this republic under whom I serve. But it is just my personal view, because I feel responsible when I see children without limbs. I feel responsible when I see people who are in their 30s and early 40s with kidney disease. I feel responsible when I see rivers that were once jade green or aquatic blue now become mud puddles, and you see even the fish struggling for air. They are so, you've seen newsreels of people so capricious that they see the fish, the mud skippers, carry them and throw them away, because they are not even interested in the food that it offers us. They are interested in simply getting the boat. So that would have been and I also want to see that LI repealed. I don't want to see it adapted, changed, modified. I want to see it repealed. Because the only way we can stop the likes of Wuntumi and Sampine transmogrifying the ill that they do in any form is to repeal that law completely. Yes, mining has been good for this country, but mining has also been bad for this country. And if you don't know why mining has been bad for this country, go to Obuasi, go to Daban, go to Takwa, go to Prisia, go to Uni Valley. How has gold transformed their lives? Those places, if we even had enacted right legislation, should be the bedrock of our business communities because of what they offer from the bowels of the earth. If we had, for example, if we had legislation that said that 25% of the revenues of the gold that we mine should be invested in those communities, wouldn't we have schools, businesses, technology belts? Wouldn't we have the free zones springing up from all those places? But no, we just allow people to take, and foreigners for that matter. We allowed same in the timber industry today. The timber industry is virtually destroyed. Go to Kumasi, go and read the history of the timber industry in Kumasi and find out how many indigenous businessmen were doing logging as opposed to a lot of foreigners. So Galamsey must end, or in the form in which it is must end. We cannot live in a country where Chinese people come to this country and come and destroy our environment. at the behest of our own citizens. Let's not blame the Chinese alone, our own citizens. Because guess what? When we deport the Chinese people, when they get to their own country, they are prosecuted. Because in China, if they did the kind of things they did here, they will be executed. So we cannot allow this to go on. We are all adding them around this table. I'm sure my brother Idrisu is also adding them with us. That the current disposition where we have people destroying our drinking water and our environment because of greed must end. I do not sit here and profess to have the tools or even to have the knowledge on how to do it. All I know is that I'm an engineer, and I can tell you that when you poison the water in the Bawumia River, sooner or later it will get to East Legon, and indeed it has, because there is a mechanism of seepage and drainage within our groundwater that transports those offending chemicals, because there is a method, or there is a method in which it transports to a semi-permeable membrane mechanism, and it will get to us. If you remember, there was a report that says outgrowers who were growing lettuce and carrots somewhere in the Ponglo area, they were recording high rates of cadmium, mercury, and lead. And where did that come from? It came from Damang, came from Takwa, came from where Wuntumi is doing his business. You don't go into the source of the Tano River that feeds the Kwesi Dam, go and destroy it, and then think that you come and destroy it, you come and show us the gold bars in Kumasi, you will not be drinking the water or using it to bath. People think that, oh, when you drink pure water or when you drink bottled water, it's okay. Do you bath with bottled water? Because if you bath with the bad water, the minerals that are in the water will seep into your skin. Don't you know that? Are you surprised that people are sitting down and all of a sudden people who are as dark as some of us are now looking like you know, they are now looking like they are Japanese citizens? Are you not surprised that in a moment Solo can be bathing that water and start looking like a Josafu and speaking like a Josafu? Talking about the party.
The party.
The party. It's all part of the Galamsey. Changes even your accent. So let's be careful.
Idrisu, this is from opinion Kwesi Klagontama West, who says, you see, MPP took advantage of how Ghanaians have been deceived by them with fake messages from them before voting. Right from ages, they had been telling lies, propaganda against Kwame Nkrumah, and Ghanaians believed their lies. This made them to be dancing and still copying what NDC were promising. I think the people now knows the truth, so it will be difficult for them to bring...
we will not be gaslighted by the submission of Honorable Kojo Buafo. Why am I saying so? I am saying this on the backdrop that the NDC government, the NDC which has actually constituted government today, use this particular issue of Galamsey very, very much as a weapon. Now, today, you are now in power. So we will not allow you to sit and romanticize issues as though you are doing something, which indeed you are not actually doing anything. It is not for nothing that, because if you read the Bradland report, and of course even the Minamata Convention and all other issues that came out, we realize that nature continues to kick back, because when people are allowed to mine or to destroy our forest cover just for purposes of what they term as Faustian bargain, that is to what is it called, to pillage the lands and all that, and of course its devastating consequences would come and affect us, we ought not to sit down. Now the NDC, as in opposition, came and criticized the government of the day, and that the president needed to declare what they term as state of emergency. So all these particular kinds of, sitting down and talking 19s to the dozen would be nipped to the bud, or would be nipped in the bud if indeed the president, through executive instrument, actually issued this particular state of emergency. All these kinds of nonsense will stop. So what is stopping the president from declaring state of emergency? Now that is very critical. You see, for me, I think it is an organized crime, because I've even indicated to you the level at which illegal Galamsey has actually transmogrified, to the extent that people are being weaponized, such that when even state security would have to even go to that particular place, they have to those forests, they have to take permission from these people. That is the current status quo today. So we are not going to acquiesce to whatever explanations that the NDC or its apologies are going to bring out. What we demand is that the government of today, it is their responsibility to make sure that they correct those particular problems which hitherto they said was wrong. Indeed, they are now in power. They should also try as much as they can to be able to solve this. Why? Because today, as we have it, almost within those particular areas, they are not able to get a very good drinking water. Even to the extent that people who are manufacturing sashi water, there was a report that indicates that there was some elements of hard compounds that can be traced in those particular pure water that we call pure water. So that has actually become a very serious issue that must not be glossed over. So I think that sitting here to be explaining all these things is neither here nor there. What I want to say and to suggest is that there was a report that showed that illegal Galamsey or mining, and for that matter the sale of gold, my uncle asked whether I've ever seen gold. I will not answer that. But to use someone else's activity, to want to justify that it is the NPP that has sanctioned that particular, when you were copiously referring to Chairman Wuntumi and when he was displaying those particular gold bars, that for me, you see, for me, I wouldn't. What I know is that if indeed such situation, because every individual has their way of maybe trying to show wealth, but for me, I wouldn't even have go into that particular tangent, because I didn't see it to be necessary just to come on air and to show those to portray to people that yes, I have made it in life through gold and all that. That for me was in bad taste. I think that you are disturbed when you were speaking. I was virtually I was sleeping.
Please let him.
So you see,
let him.
Because I'm trying to show that many of you were counting. I do not disagree with you that you thought it was impacting.
So you see,
let him.
I want you to join me to call on the president to declare state of emergency. Now, in his rebuttal to issues about cocaine and all,
into my own house.
So you see that particular proverb. So it tells you that when people, when people are in opposition at a particular point in time, they have different mindset. But when they come to government, there is what we call reality check on them. That is just what he has just said. So for me, I think that we should take cue from that. Now, there is what we call money laundering in relation to Galamsey and, of course, the sale of gold and all those. And I'm very happy that you are here. And I want to make a passionate appeal to you, because you are the acting CEO of the Financial Intelligence Center. Every now and then, there is a plethora of reports that comes out to suggest that foreigners, even within those particular mining industry, repatriate those particular monies just because they are mining gold in Ghana, and for that matter, they repatriate those particular monies out of the domestic economy. That is where your responsibility is actually being called to question. If indeed at a particular point in time, if there is a report that would suggest that there was some kind of illegalities that actually went on within those particular industries, such that some amount of dollars has been repatriated illegally out of the country, you probably would also share the part of the blame, because you pay the pay your position as the Financial Intelligence Center CEO. You work based on the Financial Intelligence Act, if I'm not wrong. So you ought to ensure that all these particular ills that is actually, as it were, destroying the country, you should be a perfect person to solve this particular problem for us, because when that is how come, even if we try to solve problems of inflation and all that, we are not able to. Why? Because when large chunk of the Ghana cedi is actually being turned into a dollar, and which is repatriated out of the domestic economy, it will have a telling effect on the economy. So I'm making that particular passionate appeal to you to ensure that this particular problem is actually nipped in the bud. That for me is also very critical.
Let me just highlight something.
Okay. I will yield to you.
Please. I would like him to continue and if you have something to.
Okay.
It's important. Listen, people are listening. Please read the
Financial Intelligence Act.
No, the AML Act 1044.
Okay.
It enjoins the Financial Intelligence Center
Yeah.
to act upon information. But let me tell you where the real money laundering is going on.
Okay.
It is going in real estate. Because if you try to transport it out of the country, it will be seen and stopped immediately. It's not even a question. It will not pass go. It is being transported. Listen to me, I beg you. It is being put in real estate. Go around Accra. You see that as soon as President Mohammed became president, everybody is digging a hole to put up a building. That's where it is going. So maybe you should bring some of your cronies. Come and tell me some of your cronies who have stolen money and are using it to put up buildings.
Okay.
Then I'll get them.
Thank you.
My answer is twisting this. It's a very important issue that I'm raising. I'm not in any way trying to, as it were, make you look bad. No, I'm only making a point to you so that you take a cue from whatever ideas that I'm sharing to you, because it's very, very important. So yes, if you've been able to identify, the various ways by which people try to launder money, it's in the right direction. So what possibly you have to do is to also, at least as the CEO, to employ people with IT background, with finance background, with intelligence background, to be able to aid you to be able to indeed solve those particular problems. He mentioned the issue of, because he tried to make a recollection as to when it comes to drug trafficking and all that, the NPP is guilty. We were in this country when there was once upon a time a lady called Nayeli Ametefe, who, making a testimony in court in UK, said that her operation was being sponsored and assisted through some government officials in Ghana. Indeed, when he was accosted and arrested during that particular when he was transiting, there was this particular car that was actually waiting for her at the tarmac, pointing to that particular, state-sponsored kind of issue. So for me, to what extent are we able to devoid ourselves from kind of using cocaine and all that to play political football, which would not augur well for the growth of this country? Okay. That for me should be a source of worry for us. Otherwise, if we are going to begin mentioning and pointing to which particular political regime had a particular issue, none of us, the NPP and the NDC, cannot have a very good scorecard when it comes to this. So yes, they say, if you are living in glass houses, you don't throw stones.
Thank you very much. Well, before I come to you, just a few comments. This is from Nana, who says, until Akufo-Addo brought in LI 2462, nobody was mining a forest reserve because of existing laws on environmental protection and the presence of forestry gas. There's a difference between repeal, that's abolish what was added by Akufo-Addo and led the original stay, and revoke, abolish completely the entire law, including what Akufo-Addo came to meet. NDC has insisted on his position of repealing what Akufo-Addo added. The question is, were the people mining in forest reserves until Akufo-Addo brought in LI 2462? The answer is no. Mr. Wilson.
Yes, Senator, the issue of Galamsey is very simple. I don't know why people make it complicated. But let me remind the NDC that it was one of the campaign messages that got them to power. And so I will be the last person to say I am advising them to deal with the matter. Because once you fail to deal with the Galamsey, you're also on your way out. But as a good citizen of this country, it wouldn't endure to my benefit if the environment is destroyed, out of which I'm going to eat, breathe the air in it, drink the water out of it, and so on and so forth. So you all have to help them to fight it. First of all, they must not attempt to shortchange the people of this country. You promised that you repeal it. It must be repealed, not amended. This business of politicians must stop immediately. Number two, all former service heads and chiefs must be prosecuted. You know why? We are in a country where a country has been created within a country. Everyone in crime. Yomo Bega. No old lady in Accra. In a thick forest. Western region or Western North. It's Super Forest in Western region. That region had a regional commander of police, had a regional commander of the army, had a regional minister. The district within which the forest falls had a district municipal chief executive, district police commander, and so on and so forth. Yet, a community was created within the center of the forest where Galamsey activities became so rampant. And we could not have a government of President Akufo-Addo and the new Patriotic Party deal with that matter. And such people are, some of them are still in the service. Some of them are on retirement, drawing salaries from the state. So those that are still within the service, what is the guarantee? They had allowed this despicable act, the community to be established with impunity. These West African nationals to come and mine illegally on our soil. What is your guarantee that they will help this administration to deal with the issues of Galamsey? And that is why, if this administration is serious, they must begin to prosecute people. The last time the Rastos of Saredonko took a tour on the Ankobra River, did he not identify someone doing an illegal mining on the Ankobra? What has happened to that person? Look, for you to deal with Galamsey, you must be ready to drain the swamp. The big players, the politicians, the pastors, the imams, the businessmen, the chiefs who are behind Galamsey, you must be ready to name and shame and prosecute. Not those young people that you show them on TV. They don't know, they don't have the capacity to deal with Galamsey. When you say that the people are dangerous, let the people be stronger than the state and there will be no country called Ghana. I want someone to come and convince me what benefit Ghana has gotten from mining. Let's juxtapose the benefit that they claim we have gotten to the effect or the harmful nature of mining and see whether or not mining will stand the test of time. If the gold is beneath the earth and we are not mining, would we fall sick? But when we mine it, we are being led into our early graves, and you tell us that there are benefits with mining in this country. Go to Obuasi. I've lived in Obuasi before. There used to be Obuasian Kawo. Did you ever hear that name before? It was the apple of the toast of many Ghanaians to eat an orange coming from Obuasi. Now go and check the acidic levels of these oranges, if there are any. You go to Obuasi, anybody that lived in Obuasi for that lengthy time, you will see some black spots on their bodies. And you are telling me there are benefits with it. And this is not to restrict it to only the small scale miners. The so-called large scale miners, your Anglo Gold, your Goldfish, your whatever, they are all involved in illegalities. Nobody checking them. But because the big players are enjoying from it, they come and give us all beautiful nonsense. Again, that state of emergency, if it really means business, must be applied, must be implemented. What is this government afraid of? But it comes back to the issue that we have been raising here always. Those that sponsor our political activities. The financiers. You dare not touch them. They are the people behind. So they finance you to win political power, and so you are afraid to go after them. And that's why we are where we are. As we speak, the NTU of our water bodies, the turbidity levels is still 14,000 NTU, which is way beyond what is acceptable before Committee of Nations. Yes, we are doing that here, and we are still dealing with the subject matter. Last year also, I went to demonstrate in the Exam area on mining issues. And what I saw regarding illegal mining, I couldn't believe it. So the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, I have said that he must not even concern himself with the rest of the country. If he is able to deal with Galamsey in his own constituency alone, I will salute him. Let him let the Ankobra River be clean. As a Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, this one falls within your purview. Beyond you being a minister, you are also the MP for that area. Now, Professor Frimpong Boateng did something good. And here, I could understand where Mr. Chumbuafo is coming from. When we talk about Galamsey, MPP must not be the yardstick, because they themselves, you remember that Al Jazeera documentary where Alistair Matthias said the former President Akufo-Addo, he was doing business with him on gold sales. You remember that issue? Yeah. That every month he was shipping $40 million to $60 million worth of gold out of this country to go and sell. He was doing connection with the president. Then the president hurriedly asked his legal advisor to write some letter to Al Jazeera threatening. When Al Jazeera rebutted or responded to that letter, the president went shushu. All of a sudden, mumu. Everybody couldn't talk again in this country. So the president himself was culpable based on what Alistair Matthias said. So I don't want to reference the MPP in this subject, but indeed, it is one of the reasons why Ghanaians kicked against them, voted against them, so their matter is out. Now it is the turn of the National Democratic Congress, and nobody must make the mistake of hiding behind we are not too long in power. You can do it within 2 weeks if you want to. Where there is a will, there is a way. But once you begin to find excuses, make excuses for your inability, then it means you yourself wants to get your people. The other time, the army wanted to enter a community in the danger areas. We are told that constituency executives of the National Democratic Congress said they will not allow the army to enter there. I said, what? And you, the army too, it is becoming one too many. You are paid because you have to defend the territorial integrity of this country. You cannot be going around the world and say that when you are outside this country, you are rewarded with your professionalism, and back home, a matter of Galamsey, you cannot deal with it. Especially when some of your members also have been cited as being part of the Galamseyers. So now we have to crack the whip. And to link this Galamsey matter to the Chief Justice is very important. Because when people are arrested, where are they taken to? Is it a court? So you need a judiciary that is also ready to do the do. The last time excavators were confiscated by the Forestry Commission together with the police, and the matter was sent to a court in NJ. You remember this matter? The judge miraculously initially said that excavator must be released to those Galamseyers, and not just released, the police were to provide a safe and protection to the excavators to be sent to a place that cannot be destroyed. When the Ghanaian spoke, the next day the judge came to tell us that he erred. Can you imagine? Less than 24 hours, the judge, and when you have such judges within the judiciary, why wouldn't you go into the judiciary and clean it massively? So you would need a judiciary that is headed by a competent chief justice. But today, this is not your subject matter. And so, as for the National Democratic Congress, I remember vividly whatever their members came here, particularly to say, and the promise they gave to the people of this country. I expect them to act.
Okay.
I expect them to act.
Thank you. Thank you very much. 2 comments. First, this one says the NPP gentleman should appreciate that the government of just about 90 days can declare a state of emergency just like that. There's Evans Dawu says, on a more serious note, the current NDC administration must handle the Galamsey menace with tactfulness and high sense of professionalism. There are a lot of Ghanaians and even foreigners in the business with some faceless, powerful individuals, which include political actors, chiefs, and opinion leaders. So the government must deal with the issues proactively. Mr. Pratt?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's the acknowledgement that Ghana's geography is very, very interesting. You have an extraordinary geography. I'm told that some time ago, after rains, you could just walk around, you know, and just collect gold after rains in some parts of this country. Today, I see communities of very, very poor people, people who are living in thatch-roofed houses, and Galamseyers just dig under their sitting room, you know, and there is gold. Before, we used to think that gold was just in the south, especially in the western region, in the Ashanti region and so on. Now gold is being discovered in huge quantities in the upper east region, in the upper west region, and so on. Gold is just everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, the eastern region, whole villages have virtually been wiped out because they are sitting on gold, and these are very poor farmers and so on. Now, normally, this should have been something good. Because, I mean, yesterday I was listening to the international news, I was listening to Al Jazeera and so on, and the price of gold is shooting through the roof because of the crazy economics of Donald Trump. You understand? So, normally, this should have been very good. And we're now talking about a situation where Ghana is the leading producer of gold in Africa and the 5th or 6th in the world. This is a bonanza. This ought to provide us with resources for improving healthcare, for improving education, for improving access to housing and so on. Because gold is valuable, we have it in abundance. Unfortunately, our leaders have not been able to harness this resource. And they've allowed this resource also to become our curse. Can you imagine that we are sitting on so much gold? So much gold. 32 million people, we are not talking about 500 million people, we are thinking about 32 million people sitting on so much gold and suffering poverty. It's unbelievable. And it's all because of the failure in leadership. This has become a curse. Now doctors are talking about deformed babies being born in places where Galamsey is taking place. They're talking about children who have been born without eyes, children who have been born with multiple organs, children who have been born without legs and so on. And they say that this is a consequence of Galamsey. Now, the Ghana Water Company is complaining that in some parts of this country can no longer produce potable water, that no amount of chemicals put in that water can make it wholesome, and so on. You understand? Our dependence on imported fish is going to increase because we have destroyed, you know, all the natural conditions for aquaculture development in the country. Unbelievable havoc. You come to the cocoa industry and we've lost more than 50% of our production as a result of Galamsey. Which sector of the national life has not been adversely affected by Galamsey? Every sector, agriculture, everything. So under these circumstances, what do we do? And I agree with Solo, and I agree with Chum, you know, that we are not just talking about illegal miners, whatever that means. Even the giant corporations are not operating according to law. Even the giant corporations in gold are misbehaving. You understand? So what do we do under these circumstances? And I take my cue from the Ochihini. Whatever problems you have with the Ochihini, that's your problem. The Ochihini has said something which has struck me. And the Ochihini is saying that, look, gold, it doesn't rust. I mean, if you leave gold under the soil, if you're not ready to exploit your gold, leave it under the soil. Nothing, it will be there forever. When we are ready, you can come and dig it up. And I fully agree with the Ochihini. It's one of the most sensible things I've heard, you know, about the exploitation of our gold resources. If we cannot exploit gold today for our benefit, why are we digging it? Keep it there. It will not rust. It will not go away. It will be there for hundreds of years. Let's get our act together before we start exploiting it. And that is why I'm in sympathy with those who are calling for an immediate ban on all forms of gold mining until we get our act together. It makes a lot of sense. You understand? We should listen to the Ochihini. We should put an immediate ban on gold mining, all forms of gold mining, until we are able to get our act together. And if we get our act together, then we can mine gold so that we can all, as a people, profit from it. You see, right now we are sitting here talking about Galamsey and so on. I think it's moving beyond that dimension. Now, these Galamseyers are forming militia. They are able to confront the police, they are able to confront the army, and so on. Do you know what will happen next? By the time we say Jack, they'll be taking over our government and running over this country. Criminal gangs will be running this country. And that is why it is important to do everything possible now to end this menace. Look, I had an interview with the new Minister of Lands and Natural Resources in this very studio. It is clear he's sincere. You know, he wants to do something about it and so on. But it is not a one-man fight. No matter how sincere he is and so on, he cannot deal with this problem alone. And I think that it's important for all the different sectors of the Ghanaian society to be mobilized against this huge menace who can destroy this country and destroy it completely. And I think that President Mahama ought to be ruthless, absolutely ruthless in dealing with this matter. It's not an issue about which concessions should be made. Concessions made to who? This is not an issue about which we pull punches and so on. It is important to be ruthless in fighting Galamsey, and I believe that we can defeat Galamsey.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yɛde nsɛm nyinaa ɛbɛso ha. Yɛda wase sɛ wɔnya bra kan ho yɛde nsɛm nyinaa bana wie. Subscribe na share dwumadi no ma afoforo ɛnsa nka bi. Makraw yɛbɛhyia in the next video.
Debi kama Mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Now so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.